Welcome and thank you so much. This is a continuation of our series with the interviews of the mayoral candidates of London, Ontario. Today I have the opportunity to sit with Bronagh Morgan. She is a candidate here in the city of London, and we're so thankful that she's given us some time today. We're going to go through a brief question and answer period, and then at the end, she's free to share anything else that she sees that she'd like to share. But we're going to get right into it today. So to begin, could you introduce yourself and tell our audience what inspired you to run for mayor of London and why you believe now is the right time to lead the city?
Thanks, Candace. And thank you very much for listening and watching today. My name is Bronagh Joyce Morgan. I am a Londoner for the last about 30 years, and I have been in politics before. So, for those people who don't know this, I did run for the Green Party in a couple of federal elections in '03 and 18. And no, sorry, in '04 and 18, and also for the Provincial Green Party in '03 and 18. And so I'm not brand new to politics. I decided to get involved in this election not recently. So I did kind of make this decision probably in the last year or so when there was a lot of conversation going on about it's unlikely that there will be really a contest for mayor. And always during the times that I've been in politics before, we're seeing uh, a consistent decline in people's engagement, voter turnout, and whether or not people want to engage with politics at all. It's become increasingly negative, and it wasn't super positive when I first got involved in politics in 2003. On that note, I thought, here's a great opportunity, and I'm at a good kind of point in my life that I have the availability to do this because, just based on the way I have my work structured right now, I I'm looking at, the interest factor because I have the same last name as the current mayor, no relation. And so I think, even as a novelty, I think that might be interesting to people just to at least it will get somebody reading about it. But on top of that, I feel like there is a real appetite for change. And I'm not talking about, everybody always says this is a change election and this is time that we need to change this or that. But basically, what I have seen happen over the course of my career in politics and just, over the last, say, um, the time I've been living in London, for example, when you hear about, we need change, you don't actually see systemic change. You see, promises of change that either, band-aid a solution to something or they maybe get walked back because once we get into office, we realize we can't either work with these people because they won't cooperate with us, or the reality is that we can't do all of those things that we promise. And again, that undermines people's trust in government, trust in politicians, and kind of contributes to this whole negative or apathetic kind of feeling towards politics. And so, somebody who's run for the Green Party before, we get into politics knowing that we are, presenting solutions that are creative and out of the box, and we're talking about systemic change. But I actually mean it, and I actually have the background to do those things. So outside of politics, I have been a lawyer since 1999. So I graduated law school in 99, called to the bar and right at the turn of the century. Most of the time that I've been in law, I've been doing no, non-practice jobs, which basically is just taking, pieces of information from every area of the law in Canada, whether that's Ontario or any other jurisdiction, complicated ideas, trying to translate those for people, trying to make sure that people understand the law. So I have to take, huge volumes of information and make them accessible for people. And so I have this 30 years of experience in law and policy as well. So combined with political experience, combined with that legal experience, combined with that communications experience, but I've also worked in London boardrooms and on London front lines for many years. So I was a 17-year casual employee of the City of London. I have served on boards of not-for-profits. I have served on board committees for our hospital system. I'm an employee of one of your school boards as a casual staff. So I am somebody who has worked, volunteered at every level in so many different communities in London. So I think the reason to put this all together, I'm the right person right now, is I think that we need at this point to just admit that little bits of change are not good enough. Systemic change is the thing that we have to do. And I think I'm the right person because I bring all of those different skills and different experiences together. On top of that, I have a passion and an energy to get this work done. The things that are tougher for are the things that are easier for other politicians, which are maybe interviews like this one, because this, makes me nervous, a little bit uncomfortable. These things are hard for me, but they're easy for a lot of politicians. The things that are easy for me, taking these volumes of information, these big challenges, whether it's law, policy, I eat that stuff for breakfast. There's no law that I'm afraid of that I can't translate, interpret, and make better, easier to understand, more usable. I love looking at all of the systems, putting them together, seeing as how they interact with each other, and finding ways to make them more efficient. That's why I want to do this now, because I feel like this is the time if we keep on kicking this kind of systemic change down the road, kicking that can of systemic change down the road for another even 4 more years, we are never going to get to be the community that we want to be. So I just want people to feel confident that I got this. We got this together. These are things we can do. We can do hard things. And I want to be that catalyst for change.
Great, amazing. Thank you. So I guess just kind of expanding a little bit on, the systemic change and being a catalyst for change. What do you see as London's greatest strength, and how would you build on them during your term as a mayor?
Some of my favorite things about London would be I think the natural spaces, our parks and our fantastic trails. Some really accessible, some that we keep really, we really take care of those species that you can either not see anywhere else, or we have the populations that other geographical areas do not have. So we have that respect for our natural environment. At the same time, we balance that with making sure that people can get out and enjoy those spaces and live a healthy life and live a happy life. So those are, I would say, like number one, top of mind for me is just the actual natural environment we have. And I guess putting that natural environment that we have in the context of where we are geographically. So we have these fantastic rural communities around us with, fantastic agriculture, different types of governments, right? So we have so many cool partners that we can work with and different communities that we can work with, learn from, cooperate with. And so we're kind of a strong, I think, region. And then we're also bordered by three First Nations who are strong communities that we can learn from. And thank goodness for all of just the fact that, we have this beautiful land that we live on is all thanks to them for being stewards of that land much longer than before we got here. And then I guess finally, I would just say our diversity. So I think, I live in a very diverse neighborhood in Northwest London. So diversity of culture, but also diversity of experiences, or diversity of like what family looks like to you. And so I think those are I guess the values, those are the things that I value a lot, and those are I think the people that I would be learning from, and the kind of, I think the London that I don't think it's aspirational. I think that's who we are right now. But I just think that we need to, I think, emphasize those things, be proud of those things, be optimistic about those things, and build community that reflects that those are actually, the things that are most important to us.
Great. So you've kind of touched on this answer. So if you're elected, what are your top three priorities for your first year of administration? So you've kind of touched on that a little bit. Do you want to just talk a little bit more, though, about specific priorities for your first year?
So I think again, unique to me is this desire to actually tackle systems. And so
Mhm.
when I'm thinking about systems, I'm thinking about, the way we administer our bylaws, the way we administer our policies, the way we write those things, the way we run city council meetings or committee meetings, the way we contract with the organizations that either provide services that like on behalf of the city or people, the people that we contract with to build our city or, maintain our city. So even internal human resources, like all of the processes, all of the systems that make up the way the corporation of the City of London runs, I think it's time to look at are those systems working in the most effective way? Do we understand them even? Is there potential for savings? Is there some, over administration of some of these services? Are those systems working together properly? And so it sounds like, again, like a big, ridiculous task. So let's just tackle, systems to start out with because I know it's top of mind for a lot of people that we have this large unhoused population. So let's look at those contracts. Let's see if the way that we are structuring our relationships with our service providers are wise. Are we supporting that work that we know is not a short-term fix? This is long-term contracts that we're consistently having to reevaluate every year. And when people wonder, where charity money goes, and you say, like, look at the amount of administration this charity has to spend to administer these services. I don't think any charity wants that. What most of the our service providers want to do is make sure that money goes to the front line. So are there potential opportunities to cut administration, cut waste, and while we're still doing things, according to our values, are we making sure that we are doing things fair? Are our contracts, watertight, ironclad, making sure there are no gaps or holes that need to be filled, and then also accessible, so written in plain language in ways that people can understand, so people can most efficiently interact with our systems. So I think that potentially is job one, two, and three. I think,
All meshed together
yeah,
and
yeah. And I
big
think like,
project. Yeah,
yeah, maybe one unique thing, like one of the jobs that I do right now is I provide workshops for municipalities, um, companies, lawyers, whatever, about the value of communicating with people in plain language. So if I was able to take on, I guess maybe this is part of that task, but I would like our systems, I would like people to be able to understand the way things are run in a little bit more of a
sure.
clear or plain language way. And that's so important, by virtue of the fact that we have such a diverse population, there is a way to explain law, policy, the way government works in a simpler way that makes it easy for people to understand, but also it makes it easy for us to justify the choices that we make and the decisions that we have to make at government. Again, going back to that trust piece. If I can explain it to you in a reasonable way, then you can feel confident that I am making decisions that are either on you in your best interest or at very least in the interests of London as a whole long term,
Sure.
right? So I
Sure.
think that will go a long way to, yeah, making politics less, I
Political.
don't know, unpleasant.
Yeah. No, that's great. And it's a great segue into our fourth question here. London is a growing and diverse community. How would you ensure that residents from all backgrounds feel heard and included in the city decision making? I think what you said about just having things in plain language or understanding the reasoning behind it is a great start. But I'll let you kind of continue that conversation.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's unique too that I bring to the table is that legal background and it's a broad base. So I've never particularly worked in one area of law. I've been working in every single area of law for the last almost 30 years. And so we sometimes have to have meetings that are longer than they need to be, which, I don't mind working hard, but that's inaccessible for people. If my meeting is very long, then I, as a citizen, can't sit there for 7 hours. There goes my entire day, which potentially is putting all kinds of people in a precarious situation if they can't skip that day just to participate, right? So that's important, I think. Going in camera, I think a lot of times at meetings we have to do because there is nobody at the table that understands, because a lot of times that has to be a consult with a lawyer. Well, here I am. I'm right here and I will tell you whether or not we need to go, right? So it's not that the fact that I'm a lawyer is the reason why, like, you don't have to have a lawyer mayor, but I think at this point in time, it has a lot of value having me sitting at that table. I think, though, if I can just go on about this point, on top of that, I think representation matters in
Mhm.
government when we represent ourselves as a city. So obviously, I am a white lady. I speak English. I went to university. That's who I am, and so I bring to the table the skill set I have. But there are obviously blind spots that it does not matter how much education I get. I will always have. We have to admit there are things that I cannot do or I cannot understand, not on a deep level, without having other voices at the table. And so not in a tokenistic way. And so I think this kind of goes back to my whole systemic review. I think it is within the values of our city, and it is our goal to make sure that people feel heard, feel represented in government. But I think there is a reluctance with politicians or institutions generally to see and admit their biases, their systemic biases, and admit that they have these blind spots. So that's part of the review as well. It's really just being honest about the things that maybe we are not doing that well and taking steps to change them. Because like I said, I think that we can do hard things.
Great. What opportunities do you see for attracting new businesses, jobs, and investments while supporting the local entrepreneurs as well?
Okay, so to start with, I do have a small business. So I run a small business, which is an art-based business, and I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce. The things that stop my business from getting bigger, because it's successful, but like I would love to be able to hire more youth and other artists to work with me. So obviously it's an arts business, and I like the reality is, and this is not a London issue, like we often think of arts as like nice to have as opposed to this is vital. This is like a community building thing. This is a why, this is the why of life, right? So we don't just live to exist, we live to, have joy and experiences and yeah. So there's that piece. I think the precarious nature of finding contracts to work with. But then a lot of my clients are also small businesses as well. So they're navigating maybe complex or overly complex regulatory, administrative environment, bylaws. Maybe are they always applied the same across the board? I don't know. I get the sense from a lot of people, they feel like sometimes some people get, it comes down heavier on them as opposed to somebody else. So are we applying it transparently and fairly across the board to every kind of business? These are the kind of challenges that my clients deal with as well. So I think again, that goes back to that systemic review. Are we over-regulating, or are we regulating fairly? Or are we doing things in a transparent way that make it easier for small businesses that we have right now to succeed? I'd say in terms of attracting new businesses, I think I'm originally from Niagara Falls. I've been in London for a lot of years, but I'm originally from Niagara Falls, and I still work in Niagara Falls as an artist a fair bit. And constantly I think that tourism, as although we have wonderful people that work in tourism in this city, there's a lot of opportunity to really expand those types of businesses. I know because of these green spaces that we have, because of this fantastic arts community, for example, that we have. It you can't not be proud of those wonderful things that we have in London. And I'll tell you a story. So I was painting, like live painting downtown. I think it was the summer before last, and we had this convention here of municipalities. So municipal leaders came, like, all to London from different places in Ontario. And we were part of, just seeing all the things that London had to offer. And I cannot tell you how many times people from different municipalities would say, I had no idea. I had no idea this city had this and that. And it was this fantastic and that fantastic. So I feel like maybe there is a little bit more opportunity to build that particular business because we have so much to be proud of here, and there's so many fantastic things about this community. So I would like to, I think maybe one unique thing about me is that I have that kind of those relationships and that base of understanding of the tourism industry from working in, waiting tables when I was in high school all the way to now. So I think, yeah, I think that's one huge area of potential for us.
Yeah, that's great. And this kind of again, we've got a lot of great natural progressions from question to question here, but um, many residents are looking for a city that's safe, welcoming, and family friendly. So I guess piggybacking or continuing the talk about tourism and all of the things that the city has, or perhaps we don't have yet. What initiatives would you champion to enhance that quality of life in London?
I think like when I hear something about, like when I hear people talk about safety, because I do, as part of my business and my jobs, work downtown a lot. And
Mhm.
so I would start with saying that coming to your downtown is the way you make your downtown safe, or any part of London, whether that is the East End, whether it's my neighborhood, and anywhere in London. Add people and build community, right?
Sure.
I think that our like our community-based policing, like I like those initiatives where we are consistently seeing our public servants in the community interacting with people of all populations, all socioeconomic situations in our community, consistently building those relationships. And I think those people who worry about that safety piece come come downtown. Like you're the solution. And I would like to emphasize that a little bit more in terms of but like admittedly though, it's a big city. We have big city problems. And so we do have to admit that we have those problems. We don't always have to have a made in London solution for every single thing.
Mhm.
So collaborating with other communities that are grappling with the same issues that we're grappling with is important. On top of that, I think, you know, making family friendly communities. I work, like I said, in the arts community. I'm out at, for the last few years, I've been doing a lot of community events that are free, so accessible, whether it is city run or other organizations that are bringing me to these events, or if I'm just volunteering. There is so much to do in the city right now, but we have to, I think this brings up transit. So it's making sure that people can get to those places in a, safe, reasonable, yeah, practical way. And so it's nice, I think, that we're moving forward with transit, but I feel like there is room for improvement here in terms of moving people around our city. And I think there was one more thing, sorry, because I'm just going to look at my notes here. Yeah, I think it's really, yeah, it's about being our own best friend, like being our own kind of best cheerleader for London. This
Sure.
it actually it is cool. There are a lot of cool things to do. You don't have to spend a lot of money. We are doing these things now. The missing ingredient is you.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that that's fair and it's a great thing to communicate. How would you work collaboratively with city council members, community organizations, and other levels of government to achieve your goals?
Okay, so not notwithstanding like anybody's, I guess, political views or like differences of opinion, Collaboration is key to make a functioning city council, any kind of level of government, a functioning society. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think that I will probably have differences of opinion with probably everybody on council. And that is good, right? As long as we have healthy debate. But I have respect for, like, I've met a couple of the candidates that I'm going to be in this contest with, and I have respect for both of them. And those people that I haven't met yet, I do, I look at their Facebook. I have respect for those people already, just based on their resumes and the way they're conducting themselves. So I have no concerns with respect to the way we run our campaign. That's leadership. Like another one of those things that makes people feel very negatively about politics is just this very adversarial and very, I don't know, like looking for gotcha moments kind of behavior.
Sure.
I have zero interest in any of that. I think that we are going to elect, again, a diversity of opinion, of background to our city council this October. And I look forward to that because that's how you learn. Like I do not, I can't imagine a city council that is just an echo chamber of each of us. There will be some progressive people, there will be some conservative people, there will be some people with very creative and unique ideas about what is the best way forward for our city. So I welcome that. I welcome those debates and I welcome those conversations because I think everybody has something to contribute. Because I have been a politician for a long time, I'll just give you a little bit of background about that.
Mhm.
Always like, even when I entered the first election I was ever in 2003, when people would say to me, like, what's the number one issue? And I would say it's civility. And they're like, that's not interesting. Like nobody cared about that. I think the election that I ran in 03, the hot topic was making a tax, like an Ontario tax on health. And I'm like, but civility is the most important thing. Being able to collaborate and show that you can, that's the most important thing. If we take that seriously, the way that we work together, the way that we respect each other's viewpoints and show leadership in that way, that has a massive effect on the way our city is not just run, but the way that people conduct themselves with each other within the city. We have to set an example. We have an obligation as people who get elected to show that, to model that behavior. So we cannot be nasty to each other. Every single person I've ever run against in an election, and I understand that I have never been a threat because the Green Party generally does not get elected in Ontario. I still have good relationships with every single one of them, whether that is NDP people, conservative people, liberal people, it does not matter. I still work with those people. I bought my car from one of my old opponents. I have been invited to join all of those parties after each of the elections that I've been in, right? Because I like that collaborative approach. I
Yeah.
like listening to different points of view. I don't think that I am married to any specific value other than be empathetic and be kind to each other, be respectful, and I guess take on the big jobs, take on the big problems. So those are the things I'm committed to. I think those are universal, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And again, it's important for people to remember that it's not if you're not with us, you're against us type mentality, especially for, our city here.
Mhm.
Let's look ahead 10 years. What is your vision for London and what steps would you take kind of today to start getting that vision into a reality?
I guess it goes back to question one. Like it's just we can keep on talking about little changes that we can make
Sure.
to issue X, issue Y, and we can take them on. But unless we are willing to, at some point, and I hope that point is now, look at the system as a whole and do the hard things that
Mhm.
we need to do to make it more just, to make it more accessible, to cut waste, to make it fair, to make it transparent. It's possible we can do hard things if we decide to keep on relying on like, I just want this one hot button issue and I'm just going to vote because of that. If we keep on relying on our decision making in that way, if that is what you do in terms of where you invest your vote, That's totally your prerogative, but you will be in this situation 4 years from now, and you will be in this situation 10 years from now. It will not change.
Right.
And we can see that with the other institutions that we have here in London. If you keep kicking that can down the road, somebody else at some point is going to come in and take it over. We've seen that at LHSC. We've seen that at TVDSB. That will happen. Now, I don't know what the mechanism would be for a city to get taken over. It probably doesn't exist, but it won't get better unless we just at some point say, enough. Let's look at the big picture. Let's slow this down and let's do the things that are necessary to set us up for success long term.
Great. And so, if we're looking ahead 10 years, what role do you believe youth and young professionals should play in shaping London's future? And how do you kind of encourage that civic engagement?
I guess, well, I've never been of the mindset that like you have to be like a certain age in order to be wise
Hmm.
or a leader. So I work with a lot of youth. I learn from a lot of youth. I think and there's a world that people who are not, Gen X like me that have grown up in that I will not understand. That's going back to diversity, like I'm never going to understand computers and tech growing up in a world of technology the way those people do, but that's the world we live in right now. So that has value, inherent value. I remember from I think it was the 18 election, we did like a Reddit and we were having conversations about nuclear energy. And I had just met a very, very well-informed teen. I think he was a grade 12. And he was telling me a lot because this is his thing. He researches this. And I had mentioned an answer he gave and was just ridiculed. And I've never been on Reddit ever since because I quoted a teen with
Mm.
respect to something about nuclear energy. I'm like, I am not an expert in nuclear energy. And this person, this is their bread and butter. I like if I wanted to know about dinosaurs, I'd probably ask an 8-year-old. Like there's nothing wrong inherently or with getting your information from people who are the closest to it. So age is not, I think, the governing factor. I think again, though, going back to that honesty piece, I have heard, and I know this is true, that when we ask our young people to get engaged in politics, that kind of stuff sticks with them, and that can be career limiting, and that frustrates me. That frustrates me that potentially, if you get behind a certain cause, that is going to be potentially politically damaging to you if you decide to work in a certain system later on. And that's a problem. And I think that's one of those little things about admitting that there are things in our system, despite the fact that we would like to say that we have a just system, that's not true. We can pay lip service to it, but the fact of the matter is it's not true. So if we want our young people to engage, we have to admit that those things are problematic in our system, and we have to, again, tackle those systemic factors that are, allowing those kind of things to happen. So yeah, I welcome engagement by any young person, and I do want to guarantee to you, I am running in one election and this is it. I am not going to be looking for re-election in 4 years. I am doing this one time. I would like to hand a city over to the next council that is in maybe better ship shape than I found it. So you can run with it. So if you are a young person that is watching this, your time is coming. So stay engaged.
That's honestly a perfect segue. This is our last and final question. So you've mentioned that you wouldn't be seeking re-election. So at the end of your term, what accomplishment or accomplishments would make you feel that you had truly made a positive difference for the people of London?
I would like to, like I said, I want to hand it over in a way that's better than I found it. I want
Mhm.
people to feel more optimistic about their government. I want them to feel like politics is like that you matter, that you understand it, that your voice is like that your participation has the potential to make your life and other people's lives better. I want you to engage and not like have a bad taste in your mouth after you do. Um, and I think I don't want to make promises. I think I can deliver. No, I know I can deliver on a policy review. I know I can deliver on making these documents easier to understand. I know I can deliver on making things, administration easier to navigate. I know I can do those things, but I'm not going to make promises about this or that little thing, X jobs, X new house, new builds, because what what you will get from me is somebody who will make these decisions based on collaboration, but empathy is always going to be number one. In the long term, what is going to benefit the most of us in the best way? And so kind of trying to bring a long-term focus back to politics, that's what I would feel good about. That optimism, but also, yeah, you can have a like a big picture view and not be consistently policy making based on election cycles. There are people out here who want the best for all of us long term, and will then just pass it on to somebody else.
Right. That's great. Bronagh, thank you so much for your time. On behalf of myself as the chair of RRAI and Hetham, who's the executive director, and the entire board, we really appreciate you carving out some time. We know your schedule is busy. We hope that, again, this is shared and this is, informative for, people that may be not too educated on kind of what the process is or who our candidates are. So it's a great way for people to meet our candidates and have just a candid conversation. Before we kind of sign off and wrap up, is there anything additional that you wanted to share? Your website, how people can contact you, anything?
Yeah, so my name, which is, I'm not sure if it's on the screen or not, but Bronagh Joyce Morgan is my name. You can call me by any of those names. Bro is fine as well. My email for the campaign is Bronagh Morgan Mayor, so it's all one word, @gmail.com. And the website, which should be built by, I think, let's be optimistic, and we'll say by the first week of July, is bronaghmorgan.ca. So you can visit me any of those places, but we'll be in the community. You may see me out and about painting a mural downtown. So yeah, I'm a pretty approachable person. Come say hi, and yeah, reach out. I am trying to wade through all my emails and answer all of your questions personally. I do have a Facebook page, which is my whole name. So Bronagh Joyce Morgan, that's my campaign page. And you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and X, I think, and Threads. So yeah, I have a pretty unique name, so you'll be on.
That's great. Again, we thank you so much, and like I said, we really appreciate your time, and we're so excited to have this posted and